I always loved walking in the forest during winter. The snow made everything quiet and still. The world seemed peaceful, almost magical. That day, I decided to take a long walk through the old forest near my town. The trees were tall and bare, their branches like black veins against the gray sky. I didn't expect anything strange. At first, the forest was calm. My boots crunched softly in the snow, and my breath formed little clouds in the cold air. But as I walked deeper, I began to notice something odd. The wind was still, but I could hear whispers. At first, I thought it was the snow moving in the trees. But the whispers were too clear, too deliberate. I stopped and listened. The voices seemed to be coming from the trees themselves. They were soft, like someone speaking just to me. I shook my head and laughed nervously. It's just my imagination, I told myself. I kept walking, but the whispers grew louder. They were saying things I had never told anyone, secrets I had buried deep inside. You lied to her. You should feel guilty. He never trusted you, and you knew it. Why did you hide that from your friend? I froze. The words were mine, my deepest secrets. How could the trees know these things? My heart started racing, and I felt a cold sweat on my back. I wanted to run, but my legs felt heavy, like the snow was holding me down. The forest grew darker. Shadows stretched across the snow, even though the sky was still gray. I turned to go back, but the path I had followed seemed to vanish. Every tree looked the same, twisted and black against the dull light. The whispers continued circling me, growing louder and angrier. You think you are clever, but we know your fears. You pretend to be brave, but you are weak. No one will protect you now. I began to panic. I ran blindly, trying to find the edge of the forest, but every turn led me deeper. The whispers followed me, echoing in my mind. I tried to cover my ears, but it didn't help. The trees seemed to lean closer, their branches scratching at my coat, their voices filling every corner of my head. Then I saw them, faces in the bark, pale, twisted faces, staring at me with hollow eyes. Each tree had a face, and each one spoke my secrets. Louder now, like 1,000 voices screaming at once. I fell to my knees, my hands in the snow, my body shaking. You are not safe. You cannot hide. I screamed and scrambled to my feet, pushing through the branches. The forest seemed endless, and the faces in the trees multiplied. I tripped and fell again, the snow covering my hands and knees. When I looked up, the trees were surrounding me, close and silent for a moment. Then one whispered softly, chilling me to the bone. We are always watching. I ran until my lungs burned, until I thought I would collapse. Finally, I saw the edge of the forest. The trees ended, and the path back to my car opened. I didn't look back as I ran through the snow, my boots leaving deep prints behind me. I reached my car, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the keys. Even as I drove away, I could hear faint whispers in the wind. At first, I thought it was the trees far behind me, but then I realized it didn't matter how far I went. The voices were inside my head now. Every secret I had ever tried to hide was alive, following me, repeating over and over. You cannot escape. We know everything. We are always watching. That night, I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. The whispers continued in my dreams, the cold breath of the forest brushing against my neck. Even in my room, I felt the trees around me, their branches scratching at the windows, their voices speaking my darkest thoughts. I don't know why the forest singled me out. I only know this. Some secrets are not meant to stay buried. Some trees remember. Some forests watch, and if you wander too deep, they will speak your name, and there will be no escape. Even now, I can hear them. The winter wind carries the voices, reminding me of every lie, every hidden fear, every shame. And I know that one day, I will return to that forest, because the trees will not let me go. I had always been curious about old, abandoned places. When I found the old pine lodge online, hidden deep in the mountains, I felt drawn to it. The listing said it was remote, untouched, and full of history. The pictures were blurry and old, but I liked the look of it. I wanted a quiet place to be alone, away from everyone. I didn't expect it to be terrifying. I arrived late in the afternoon. The sun was already low behind the mountains, and the air was cold. The lodge looked much older than in the photos. The paint was peeling, moss-covered parts of the walls, and the windows were dirty. Yet, somehow, it felt alive. It was as if the building was watching me, waiting. I stepped inside, and the wooden floorboards creaked loudly under my weight. The main hall was huge and dark, smelling of old wood and damp air. A large fireplace filled most of one wall, filled with cold ashes. A worn-out rug lay in the middle of the hall, and a broken chandelier hung crookedly from the ceiling. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, and carried my bag to the staircase. I had booked room 3. The door creaked as I opened it, and when I stepped inside, it slammed shut behind me. I jumped, but told myself it was just the wind. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling crawling up my spine. Night came fast. I was unpacking when I heard it for the first time. A voice whispered in the shadows, "Don't leave." My heart stopped. The words seemed to come from the walls themselves. I spun around, but no one was there. I told myself it was my imagination, but the air felt heavier, colder. I felt like the room itself was alive and watching me. I decided to explore the lodge, hoping moving around would calm my fear. I took a candle and walked down the hallways. Every corridor twisted and turned strangely, shadows stretching long and dark. Then I heard it again, clearer this time. "Don't leave, don't leave." I froze. Shapes seemed to move just out of sight. And sometimes I thought I saw pale figures standing in the corners. Every turn made the whispers louder, closer. By midnight, the lodge felt alive. The voice became sharper and louder, shaking the windows and rattling the floor. "Don't leave." I ran to the front door, desperate to get out, but it was locked. Windows were nailed shut. No matter what I tried, I couldn't leave. I realized with horror that I was trapped. I ran back to room 3, but the room had changed. The furniture was twisted. The bed seemed to rise slightly as if breathing, and shadows moved in the corners. On the walls, something dark and sticky spelled out, "Don't leave. Ever." My stomach turned. The whispers filled my head, louder than ever, echoing from all directions. The lodge was alive, and it wanted me to stay. I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt strange. The floorboards creaked under no weight. Doors opened and closed slowly, and the wind seemed to carry voices. Sometimes I thought I felt fingers brush my arm. I tried shouting, banging on doors, calling for help, but there was nothing. The mountains outside were silent, gray fog pressing against the windows, like it wanted in. I don't know how long I stayed in that room, trapped. Hours, days. The lodge had its own time, its own rules. I was too terrified to think clearly. Finally, I decided I had to escape. I pried open a small window and climbed out into the foggy mountains. My legs were shaking, my lungs burned, But I ran. When I looked back, the lodge seemed alive. The windows were dark eyes, staring. The walls seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Even from a distance, I could hear the faint whisper, soft and cruel. "Don't leave." I made it home, but the lodge did not let me go. At night, I still hear it, quiet but certain, whispering my name and telling me not to leave. I try to tell myself it was just a nightmare, but I know it wasn't. Some nights, I feel like I am still inside that room, with those walls closing in on me. No matter where I go, I can hear it, always saying the same thing. Don't leave.